Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Owner Ops Podcast. This one's going to be a short solo episode. I've got an exciting announcement to make about a new partnership and sponsor for the Owner Ops Podcast. I'd like to announce that Jobber has decided to partner with us. This episode is brought to you by Jobber. Jobber is the all-in-one software management solution specifically for home service and trade businesses. I remember when I was starting Bear Claw several years ago, I was wondering how the heck I was going to send estimates, keep track of a job schedule, send invoices, and collect payment. When I came across Jobber, I felt like I had found the Holy Grail. Jobber makes the back end of my business so efficient, and it saves me time as a business owner. So if you are in the early days of starting your home service or trade business, look no further than Jobber as your software management solution. And if you use our unique link, I get a commission from it. And Lord knows I still have debt to pay down on all this heavy equipment. If you've been enjoying the podcast, this is one way you can support us. Visit go.getjobber.com/OWNROPS. That is go.getjobber.com/OWNROPS. They have been seeing the episodes that we've been producing, seeing the YouTube content. They reached out and asked if I'd be interested in coming on as a Jobber ambassador. My promise to y'all as listeners from the beginning has always been, you're only going to hear about products or services that I truly believe in. And Jobber was the software product that I vetted out whenever I started Bear Claw that I felt like was the best fit and the best solution for what we needed it to do. Jobber is a software management solution specifically for home service and trade businesses. Now, I believe it's tailored very well to businesses like under the 5 million mark. The major competitors for Jobber are an option like Service Titan. Service Titan is super expensive, and I don't even think it makes sense to even consider unless you're in HVAC, plumbing, electrical maybe. They're with like heavy technician based solutions. Service Titan I ruled out. They're like an enterprise value software. It's like it only makes sense at above 5 million or something like that. So if you're below 5 million and you're in any sort of like home service or trade business, this software can work very well for you. If you're listening to this episode for the first time, I own and operate Bear Claw Land Services. We do forestry, tree work. We also do dirt work, and we do snow. So trees, dirt, snow, anything within those realms we do. And Jobber does a really good job for what we need it to do. Jobber allows us to keep track of customer information by capturing information from new website leads. So there's a custom form that you can create inside your Jobber account, and then you can copy that code and send it to your website guy or gal. They can embed that code on a page. You can view this as an example if you go to the Bear Claw Land Services website, go to bearclawlandservices.com and click the orange button at the top right side of the screen. That will take you to our free quote page. That form that's embedded there is a Jobber form. So the importance of this is that you're able to capture customers' information, their name, their address, their phone number, details about their property, details about the service that they want. And then you're able to store that information in a customer database, which is in Jobber. And in the beginning, you really just need something that you can store this information on. It's an added benefit that the same place that you're storing all your customers' information can be the same place that you are using to send quotes, to schedule jobs, to schedule invoices. So once I started playing around with Jobber, I realized, one, the UI, aka user interface, which means like, how does the screen feel and how does the functionality of the software work? Being a former software sales guy, like I'm pretty particular on this. Like if the software's clunky or if it feels old and outdated, like I don't want to use it. They use a modern design, a modern UI. They make it very easy and intuitive for users to figure out how to use. The way I'll explain UI for those of you who are just in service and don't have any tech background, think about your iPhone. I was telling one of my best friends, he came over to visit from Steamboat this weekend, and he's a big Apple guy. Apple Watch, Apple Home, whatever the little like speakers are. You know, he loves the whole like automated home stuff, the automated driving, all that stuff. Like he's really into that. The craziest thing about Apple iPhones are like one of the craziest things I've noticed since having a 2-year-old, having a kid, and now she's 2, right? She asks for our phones every now and again. And when she grabs the phone, Apple's interface the screen in which the user interacts with is so intuitive that a 2-year-old can figure it out. So this is what I mean by like modern, simple UI. Jobber has a very similar thing. It's a simple design and very intuitive for a user who may not have a tech or software background to make it to where that person can come in. If you're a contractor, if you're in service, you've been in services your whole life, they make it very easy for you to come in to the software and kind of like poke your way around to figure it out yourself. So that was like the first thing that caught my eye about Jobber. They're a modern designed software solution specific for home service and trade contractors.
This episode is brought to you by Bear Claw Media. Bear Claw Media is a growth agency for service and trade-based business owners. If you want to grow your business and you offer a high-ticket service in local service or trades, there's a really good chance that we can help you grow with Facebook, Google Ads, and content creation for platforms like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. If you're interested in growing your business, check out gobearclawmedia.com.
Once you're in the software, it's fairly easy to poke around with and figure out. After you collect your customer's information, you're able to send quotes. All you have to do is click on that customer's profile, click send quote, and it will create a screen for you to where there's a template right there to just send a quote or an estimate. Quote/estimate, those are interchangeable terms in these industries. So I loved that about Jobber, and I immediately started using that. The next thing that we use Jobber for is after we send a quote to a customer, we use Jobber to collect signatures on quotes. So rather than like printing out a piece of paper and taking it to your customer and having them hand sign the quote so that you can proceed with work, Jobber makes it super easy to just e-sign, meaning we can text the quote to a customer's phone number or email it to them and they can just sign with their finger. Then you can also use a function to where you require a specific deposit to start the job. We require 50% deposit down. Jobber also allows you to do that. It's a payment processing platform. So you can set up the settings to where a customer has to sign and they have to send the 50% deposit to get scheduled as a job. And oh, by the way, Jobber allows you to schedule that quote as a job. It allows you to build and manage a calendar. This is super important when you have multiple jobs going on. As I mentioned earlier, we have in the summer, we have forestry and excavation, right? So we've got tree work going, we've got dirt work going. Last year, we created another crew. So we had 2 separate crews going at any given time. So on every given day, we had 2 jobs going. And our project manager was able to seamlessly create a job schedule so that our field crew knew what to expect on any given week. We run 4 10s at Bear Claw, meaning 4 10-hour days, Tuesday through Friday. We live in the mountains. A lot of people like to play in the outdoors, so we give our guys 3 days off. We have found that increases efficiency. Also, when you're dealing with heavy equipment, there is a certain amount of time that it takes to start up and shut down that equipment every day. So if you're only running an 8-hour day and you're running heavy equipment, like you're really getting like 6 hours of work done. We were able to efficiently schedule and manage multiple different crews on any given week. Then once we are completed with that job, our project manager can mark that job as complete, and we can set up a feature to where when a job is marked complete within the software or within the mobile app, it does have a mobile app. When that job is marked complete, an invoice is automatically sent. So it saves the back office person a lot of time. Then Jobber also has a feature to where you can do automated invoice follow-ups. So if that invoice is not paid, let's say within 1 or 2 days, whatever settings you set up, it will send an email on a specific plan to follow up with that customer and say, hey, just a reminder, here's an invoice from Bear Claw Land Services. Here's the link to pay. And yes, I've already mentioned this, but it does allow for online ACH or credit card payments. So your accounts receivable is much easier, especially as an owner operator when you're wearing multiple different hats. Your job scheduling is super easy because you can get everybody on the same page. I mentioned this earlier a bit, but Jobber for each user comes with an app. So every day, our field guys use the app to clock in and clock out. They also can see the jobs that we're working on that week. So they know the addresses we are going. This is where, when I run payroll, I just pull my timesheets specifically off of Jobber.
Striker Digital specializes in SEO services specifically for local service businesses. Bodie and Andy, the two co-founders, have helped me get Bear Claw Land Services to the #1 search result on Google inside my state for my specific search term. If you want to learn more, visit strikerdigital.com. That's STRYKER-digital.com.
I don't have Gusto as a sponsor yet, but they're up next in the queue for who I'm going to be going after. Gusto is the payroll processing platform we use. Gusto and Jobber actually integrate as well, and I'm actively figuring out how to make that integration work well. So I believe what you can do is take your timesheets that are logged from your guys in the field, automatically transfer those timesheets over into Gusto, and then run payroll off of that. So Gusto is very similar. If you're not using Gusto for payroll, I would highly recommend it. It makes payroll super easy, like 2 or 3 clicks every 2 weeks. Ultimately, where I'm getting at is we are living in the day and age where not only is it available to you to utilize a software that can make your life easier as an owner-operator, it's unbelievably important that you adopt this kind of technology, because if you don't, Millennial and Gen Z competitors who come into your space are going to be leveraging it. And therefore, they are going to be more efficient, quicker to estimate, quicker to collect on invoices, quicker cash flow. So if you're not using a software to optimize your service or trade-based business, I would recommend doing so. And I know that they're sponsoring the podcast. I have agreed to be a Jobber ambassador. And so they are, yes, technically they are paying me to say this. But if y'all have listened to the podcast all throughout season 1, and if you don't believe me, go back and listen to all 60 plus episodes. Go listen to Office Operations 101. I talked office operations and implementing and using Jobber with Marlena from G&M Outdoor Services up in Minnesota. And we talked all about how Jobber makes our life easier. So I've been sharing this with y'all as listeners before they paid for a sponsorship. Commitment to y'all as listeners from the very beginning was, I'm only going to take sponsorships that make sense to promote, right? That I would already promote regardless. Because using Jobber has made my life so much easier. And so go back and listen to those episodes if you don't believe me, but I would be promoting Jobber regardless, because I believe they are the best solution on the marketplace right now for home service and trade businesses, especially under 5 million. I've never tested out Service Titan. So for those of you who are listening to this and you got an HVAC company that's doing 10 million bucks a year, I can't vouch that Jobber is better than Service Titan. In fact, like I've heard from a lot of people at that level that Service Titan does a really good job. So I'm not going to sit here and promise you that Jobber is the best platform for that level. What I am telling you guys is that if you're under 5 million or somewhere around there, I know Garrett and Marlena at G&M, they're over 5 million at this point and they're still using Jobber. So my point with this is that when you're starting out and when you're growing and in the early stages, Jobber is for sure the best solution. I looked at a couple different options and Jobber's just the one that does it really well. So I highly recommend you guys implementing Jobber into your service or trade-based business. Who is this for? I mean, you name it. Lawn care, landscaping, excavation, forestry, tree work, pest control, pool service, snow removal. I can personally vouch for tree work, dirt work, and snow removal. And a lot of those business models kind of cover a lot of the other service and trade-based business models. I mean, roofing, masonry, window installation, garage door installation, like anything to do with construction, you should be using Jobber. Anything home service when you're starting out, I believe Jobber is the best fit for you. And look, we are getting affiliate commissions for this. And so like, I'm going to start talking about this a lot more, because the more I talk about it, probably the more money we're going to make. But I want you to know that it's coming from a genuine place and that I truly and genuinely believe in Jobber as a product. Okay.
If you haven't signed up for the weekly newsletter yet, go to ownerops.com/newsletter. That's OWNROPS.com/newsletter. We summarize all of the learning lessons from the interviews with the guests on the podcast, and we distill those into short, actionable tips, tricks, tactics and strategies that you can use to grow your own local service business. Sign up for the newsletter at ownerops.com. That's OWNROPS.com.
I'm very proud to accept the Jobber Ambassador role. And the reason is because I believe in the product so much. I wish it was a business that I had started because, yeah, it's something I can get behind and I'm all in on it. Like, it's fun to create the content around it. It's fun to help other people set it up. Look, I'm not going to make a killing off of it, but if you do sign up through the link specific for Jobber and Owner Ops, I believe it's go.getjobber, GETJOBBER.com/ownerops, OWNROPS. So if you use that link, if you are considering starting a home service business and you've received some value out of this podcast, I would sure appreciate if you use that link. They're going to throw us a couple bucks and I still have equipment to pay off in my business. So all that extra cash I'm just using to pay down my equipment debt. Is this something that's fun for me? I'm a software nerd. I love well-designed software and I love the efficiencies that it brings. And so I wrote about this in the newsletter whenever we announced this, but for the first 10 people who sign up using that link, like, I'm just going to offer like free consulting, onboarding. I want to help you get your business set up with Jobber and on the right track, however long it takes. I can for sure commit to an hour. We should be able to set things up very well for you within that hour. But if you need a couple more hours after that, for the first 10 people, like, let me help you get it set up, because I know that once you get Jobber set up and your systems in place, you're going to be off to the races. And then in the future, where my head's at right now is I do want to offer some consulting around this. So I'm thinking something paid like $100 to $150 an hour. If you need help with Jobber, I'll jump in and I'll help you with that. But for the first 10 people, until we get to there, like, everything's going to be free. And then in the future, just reach out. If you are listening to this episode like 6 months from now, I don't think it's going to take long for those first 10 slots to go. I believe we've already got 4 or 5 taken at the time of recording this episode after that last newsletter. But if you're listening to this episode like 6 months from now, I'm more than happy to help. I don't know the exact price I'm going to charge for it. It's going to be somewhere between 100 and 150 bucks an hour, but I can guarantee you, like, at this point, I've used the product for 2 years plus, and I know the product inside and out, and I know which levers to pull to get the most out of it. And so spending an hour together is going to be well worth the 100 or 150 bucks you spend. And I can answer all your questions that you have there. So, this episode has been a lot of self-promotion and selling, but at the end of the day, I am a capitalist. I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm in this thing to make money. And in doing so, like, I'm going to offer help and guidance along the way where I see fit. But I did start this podcast as a business, and I don't think any of y'all are going to dock me for that, because you're all small business owners as well. The Jobber piece is something I enjoy doing. So reach out to me, austin@callbearclaw.com. We're in the process of launching a new website for the podcast, so I believe we'll have some Jobber growth. I'm pushing to get a tab on there for consulting, and I will make it clear for y'all. Like, if you're wanting Jobber consulting specifically, I think it's going to be under like, it's either going to be under grow or consulting on the header of the Owner Ops website. That's OWNROPS.com. And then you can just click a drop down. We'll make it super clear, like Jobber implementation or Jobber consulting, something along those lines. Anyways, I'm excited about this partnership. I really am. Once again, I truly believe in this product, and I think it can help you run your business more efficiently. I got to wrap this episode up, jump on a call with my bookkeeper here, and we'll see y'all in the next episode. Don't forget, work hard, do your best, never settle for less.